I think the number one reason why you should have a business podcast is to maximize relationships and scale your brand. And here's an expert to teach you how to do it.
And no pressure, right? And disconnect on a human basis. What gets lost in translation in business these days is the fact that we're trying to use the bots and we're trying to get everything up so we can wrap it up heavy, but we're losing that personal connection with people. So podcasting brings that back to life.
Anytime that you're communicating with people, that's like an opportunity to create content.
I would say the best way to kind of pick your genre and your themes around your podcast is centered around your target audience. And so business especially is to be about serving certain people. So trying to find your people that you can best serve. I think what happens a lot of times, our ego gets in the way and we think we can serve everyone, but like everyone's gonna love us. But the actual reality is that you're best for that demo.
Get some equipment, but don't dwell on the equipment. You know, it's easy to get caught up with, oh, what's the best microphone? You can even record with the little mic on your headphones. As long as you're making something, that's what's important.
A lot of people don't know where to start. One of the things that we've learned is to just pick one person with the content that you're creating. If you have one prospect, one person that you need to convey some sort of value, some sort of information to about topic X, create a high value piece of content for that person and then distribute it on the regular channels. The reason why that's really cool is because that asset becomes potentially a converting asset. But there's also a much larger audience that can consume that content. The conversation is one thing.
Yep.
And that's a podcast, but then that podcast then gets distributed and then you're leveraging your content, build your brand up, share stories, and then just build our relationships just on a one-to-one basis.
You may be thinking, oh, a podcast, that's hard to produce. How do I even publish it to different podcast networks? Anchor, which was just acquired by Spotify, Anchor.fm, that's a service that allows you to really easily publish a podcast on every single podcast network. So that's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher.
When you have your podcast, record it with video. Use a platform like Zoom or Skype. Export it into a visually interesting waveform file. Plenty of services like Wave and even Anchor that can help you to do that automatically. Then share it on all your social channels and mention all the relevant people for the podcast, like the guests, relevant companies, and relevant organizations. Cool thing about this is that you're capturing content, building a relationship, and then putting content out there that other people want to consume. Okay. I don't talk to me. I remember when we met at Digimarcon West Santa Monica, Lowe's Hotel. I had never actually done a podcast before. You reach out to 10 people and ask them to be on your podcast. Yeah. What is your conversion rate?
Man, it's ridiculously high. Easily always over 50%.
Wow.
Yeah.
And since then, I've actually recorded almost 10 podcasts. And that's been a lot of fun for me.
Literally, it's about having deep relationships. Listening to the guys from Gimlet, and they said that there's 3 major reasons why people listen to podcasts. You want to listen to stories for entertainment, piece of content that's very educational. But the most powerful ones and all the top podcasts, for the most part, have this presence of like you're their homies, like they're your friends. Like that's what you get from Joe Rogan podcast. You feel like you kind of know him. You might not agree with your actual friend, but you know him. Authentic type of relaxed conversation. If you notice, those kind of creep towards the top of a lot of the podcasts that are pretty consistent.
It's not a direct relationship, but you feel like you have a relationship. Like if I ever meet Oprah, I'm gonna feel like I'm
100%.
Friends with her because I've seen her so many times.
Yeah, having that daily drip, how you guys do with like the whole daily Dubb and just having a regular podcast or whatever content you're putting out. It's that Oprah effect that you're trying to create in your niche, though. But when you're like, all right, daily, I want to be on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I want to produce something of quality daily. It's a whole different discipline to me. You know, and that takes a certain level of conditioning that I think that you just have to go through and have to develop those systems as you kind of, as you're building that plane.
Lean into whatever you're feeling, whatever insecurities. And when you start to lean into that authenticity and that honesty, it actually is the most fiery motivation to like make us achieve what we want to achieve. And sometimes that's just being a good person and being a good family.
It's just getting in there, putting yourself in that place where you're not really comfortable with doing it yet. Maybe you don't have that great sounding voice you don't believe, or you don't have the right, camera lighting. But it's just getting those reps in. It's just coming out there, showing up. You'll be able to work through it eventually. I mean, it takes time. If you go back and listen to my stuff that came out almost 3 years ago, man, it's laughable. I mean, it's like ridiculous. I think it's just that constant growth, man. And one is setting up a series. So you just kind of have a focus series, literally just having like a Monday and record all your podcast episodes that day around a certain topic. So many people have deep, nuanced information about their industry,
Yeah.
that they should just be doing that. Dude, I gotta just turn this on and just go with it. Checking out some of the free ways that anyone can podcast. Like you can go to Anchor, you can do it for less than $10 a month through hosting. I mean, podcasting shouldn't be this big, intimidating piece. I encourage people to kind of get on the microphones and just play with it, interview your friends, talk to people in your industry, and you'll be shocked how that relationship goes deeper. How me and you linked up wasn't off of our businesses talking about how we can do business together. It was just like, oh, Ruben seems like a cool guy. He's working on something that's interesting. I like his energy. I like his vibes. I want to learn more. And that's how most things are done, right? And so that's what I got from podcasting. So I want to encourage you guys to go out and do it as well. Yeah, man. So with sales culture right now, you literally showing people how they can leverage podcasting for the outbound strategy. The guys that are like in their ivory towers are just tough to get to because everybody's calling on them. Like you add value first. So you lead with value. You find a way that you can talk about things that are going to be beneficial for them, right? Or just do something that's for them first before you come out and say, let me transact from you. Got to know who you want to work with, of course, and you got to have a good solid process for it. But after you got those pieces of the puzzle laid out, it's just, talking to people then. Salesculture.work is the best way to get to it.
Salesculture.what?
.work.
.work.
Yep. You can literally build a podcast and let people come on and promote themselves, talk about whatever's important to them, and use that as a way to really ice break any relationship. So step number 1, define your target audience. Just starts with literally you looking at whoever you're trying to do business with. But define that target audience. Know kind of what they're looking for, and then kind of craft the messaging around something that's going to be valuable for them. Step number 2 is name your podcast. Pretty simple. Step number 3, design a logo and whatever template you want around. Step number 4, basic equipment setup. You can go really hard into this, and you can get yourself one of the top of the line mics, like a Shure mic. The M7s are phenomenal mics. They're going to run you about $400. The ones that we're speaking on today cost $50. Found out about it through Tim Ferriss, actually. And you know what? It's a quality mic. Just speaking on all this stuff because you don't have to throw tons of money into it to really be able to get a good podcast out the ground. Kind of set up for anybody and everybody to kind of talk, Step number 5, you got to figure out how you're going to promote your podcast. And then after that, build your guest list.
You reach out to 10 people and ask them to be on your podcast.
Yeah.
What is your conversion rate?
Man, it's ridiculously high. Easily always over 50%.
Wow.
Yeah.
How often are you recording?
I try to do an interview weekly. So if you can say every Monday is my day I record, or I have a brand new guest every Monday, or you say, you know what, January's here, on every third week, I just go hard and just gather as much content. You have to have your origin story down, like why you're doing it. I think that's episode 000, as I like to say, like kind of tap into yourself a little bit and dive into your own, reasons of why. You have an easy intro, easy outro.
Okay.
Plug that in, have a preset, throw it in at the front, throw it in at the back. Create an actual ad for yourself.
Okay.
Just something that plugs your business, that makes sense. Last and final step, man, get reviews, and get more reviews.
Okay, cool.
Then you're out, man. So ask all your friends, ask family, email blast it out, let everybody know that you dropped your first episode, the 000 episode, with your backstory, and get the reviews out the gate.
Everything that you're doing is a content opportunity if you figure out the workflow to create those assets in an effective way. These tools are getting better and better, and as the years go on, it's just going to get easier and easier to create content. Start that process now, and that'll set you up for the future.
All right, cool. I'm headed down right now. I'll be right back. Cool.
Oh!